everybody. Hi. I am making a live video. It's like Total Request Live. I've been making a lot of posts about stuff lately. I finally got to a place where I got some closure, and I'm going to be coming back hopefully very, very soon. But in the meantime, I was making posts about I'm being blacklisted. Like, when did blacklisting me become like a competitive sport? And I'm going to have a conversation out loud about this on video very, very soon, unless people decide to talk to me. So that will be, actually I have something to do after this, but either way, I said, you know, this is what I do. I'm a stereographer, and my name's Alicia. I'm a stereographer. I've been a stereographer for like 24 years or something. I made National 3D Day. I discovered a fucking format. It's called the pseudogram, and I pseudograph. I'm not going to sit here and just like blah, 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 blah. But I find that this is a very difficult place for a woman to kind of even just be in, like a space-wise. Like in photography, this, you know, like boys like to gear out. So like, I get that. That's cool. And like, girls can't really gear out with boys, like especially like when they're in packs and stuff like that, unless you have like a good group of boys. And thank goodness I have the best group of stereographers in the entire planet, I think. So I am super thankful of that. But there's a bit of a like a flexing epidemic, or like people think that they can come at you hard. And if you want to come at a girl hard, or like, I said that so wrong, oh my god, but like, you know, for real, like, you get a step like that, like, please understand, it takes us so much more effort. We're probably got like 3,000 other people doing this to us at the same time, and we have to work a lot harder. Like, I mean, like, it's just an uphill ending, exhausting battle just to like try to be like in a space. And I'm not talking art wise, I'm talking even just teaching wise and stuff like that. So to put everybody to bed, and like just to make sure that this doesn't happen again, because I don't really think it's good. I don't think it's a good cultural trait. I think it's a little just like, you know, like, it has no manners, it's arrogant, and like, if you don't know me, then why would you assume that you know more than me? Okay? Please, please, please. My gear will make you cry. Okay? There's a reason why I have this. There's a reason why I have all my stereo stuff, right? Okay. I have weird shit. I have weird, obscure shit. Because I'm very versed in what I do. It makes me absolutely, it makes what I know more solid, and I'm able to communicate what I know better to you because of it. So this is everything that I have, really. And stereo is just basically to help other people understand it. I'm never going to learn anything like that I don't already know, and I learn from other people, especially about, like, even if you think you don't know anything, there is so much that I'm already learning by looking at you. If, like, you know, there's a whole culture of stereographer women that I've been like, you know, like, I've watched you women come up, and like, just brilliant. I'm so proud. And like, and I learned so much about culture from you that I'm actually like writing my dissertation on culture and like stereo communication and all this type of stuff. So please, everybody, stop talking at your women in photography or stereography. Stop thinking that like there are answers that, like, you know the answer to everything. Like, nobody, like, you know, like, nobody knows the answer to everything. So like, let's just all calm down about stuff like that. There are, of course, parameters, rules, like thresholds that apply in the realm of stereography. And the realm of stereography is entirely different than the realm of photography. Photographs, photography, that's a medium. Stereoscopic communication can basically employ any type of medium. It can employ light. You can use drawings. I can like project something on the sky right now. I can do it right now. And all these different means and methods and techniques and technologies, and I'll repeat that over and over, is because this is not a medium in itself. This is a separate type of visual communication, and it's important to understand that going in. And I got a question thank you. Somebody actually answered, like, actually asked a question. And so, by the way, and I was like, oh, how did you know me? Because I don't know you, like, blah, blah. And I got recommended by Nick Brandreth. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When you are blacklisted as you are, like, as much as me, and you get Nick Brandreth recommending you as his colleague because you're probably the best person to, like, tell somebody how to do something, thank you very much. It's an accolade. And also, I am so happy that there are people that are phenomenal, that are out of the reach of influence that bring me down. So please, I hope your pens and quotes forever. But this is the question that I got. So I was talking to somebody very quickly, looking through stuff, like, just looking on his page, and he wants to start shooting stereo. And I have a very specific method. And I teach theory, and I teach like active practice and stuff like that. So I go through the end user first top down method of approach. What the hell does that mean? That means if you want to make an anaglyph, you're gonna have to make an anaglyph, right? That means I'm gonna have anaglyph glasses. There's gonna have to be a correspondence of this somehow, because if I have this, and this will be like my end user first top-down method of approach, that's going to dictate my color. That might dictate my size. That might dictate a lot of different things that start at the point of visual communication. And it starts at the point where stereo information is split into basically it's just guiding photons into one eye, guiding photons into another eye. That's all stereoscopic. All stereoscopic communication does that. So no matter what you're doing, there's no, because of that, there's like no new cool thing. Like everything does that. Like you're just using another method. And it's not that it's not cool to do that. And like, believe me, discovering something is awesome, but it's all doing the same thing. So there's not one method that's going to be better. It's really going to be what you like, what your preference is, what you want to communicate. This is a form of visual communication. It is a form of visual communication where, and people always say this is merging something, I am really heavily riding a different train than that. I am now on the train of thought that it's not the merging of it's the actual initial separation of your visual stream from the stereoscopic function that's always snapping things together in the background. And that's really the kind of overall universal definition. Because there's really no actual definition that applies to everything unless you approach it like that. And I think a different method of approaching stereoscopic communication is really what's needed. And that is what I basically do. The question that you had, sir, and by the way, oh my God, Sinadan, right? Okay, your name is Sinadan, unless it's not, in which case, sorry. But he was like, okay, so he's like asking me about like, what sort of like beam splitters, and I'm like, well, you want to use a beam splitter? And he's like, I like to use flash and stuff like that. And I'm looking at his stuff, and he's like flashy, he's flashing everything, like man likes to flash. So I need advice about the Pentax adapter. If I had used it, and what the difference would be using one. I can't read my own handwriting. Holy shit! What the difference would be using one of the adapters versus a stereo realist. By difference, I mean the final outcome of the anaglyph prints. I know you want to have an answer that somehow like convinces you that you need to buy this stereo lens for your camera. And that's somehow going to dictate anything about your anaglyph prints. And I'm so sorry to tell you, it has nothing to do with it. That is a thing that you want to put on a camera because you have a full frame camera and you figured out that if you put a 49 millimeter lens on like mount wise on like a 50 millimeter lens on your camera, you can figure out that like it'll go to the full frame and give you a split image, and you want to use that. And I understand that. If that's the way you want to do it, go ahead. I'm not going to like stop you from doing that. Do I have experience with it? Of course I do. And I'm not going to go and I don't have the Pentax lens. I never had a Pentax lens because I never needed a Pentax lens. Okay, this is the SK1. This is a Ukrainian, this is basically the same mount. It also has like a bunch of different adapter rings, And this actually comes with like so much little stuff. Like if you like leave the packet, like the case open, and you like spill it one day, like you'll never see all of those pieces ever together again. So like you know, I might have to get another one. But so this is nice. This is the reason why anybody who has this has it, because the lens, the taking lens, like, you know, the stereo beam splitting lens, when I'm talking about a beam splitter, this isn't like a beam splitter, actually. This is like more of a mirror rig. There's not a piece of like prism. There's no prism in here that's like bending light. Oh, excuse me. Like a beam splitter is really like technically like more for like lasers and stuff like that. But so this is oh, sorry about that. Hold on. So this is a beam splitter, and basically, okay, so let's see if I can see this. Okay, so this basically will split the image using a conjunction of mirrors. So like it'll like do it like that, and then it'll like reflect it back in, and it's going to reflect it into the lens, and lo and behold, you have a different vantage point. It's basically splitting a single frame. I don't have a fucking camera with. I don't have a camera with just one. Okay, I have. This is not the example, but I'm sorry, I covered my mercury too with like a bunch of like stupid like pearls that like made it curly, but it's really easy to hold now. So anyway, so this is something that you put on a lens. This is just for example, and you put it on, and it splits. Instead of having like, you know, a single image and you're gonna have a single print, it splits it in two. There's something very, very, very good about this, especially in the realm of digital. And I specifically asked, why are you taking this lens? Because, like, you know, that's a very specific lens to be asking for, like, a very specific camera that, like, unless you really like that camera and you shoot film, why are you using that lens? Why are you putting it on? Like, what are you putting on? What are you doing with it? So he's going to put it on a DSLR with a full frame. And there are DSLR lenses, and I showed him mine, and he said he doesn't like it because this is a not full frame. This is like a quarter frame, and, like, understood, like, you know, you don't need to buy it like a lens that's not going to fit your camera. But this is honestly this is my bread and butter. This is my daily driver since 2010. This is indestructible. If you have ever like hung out with me, ask somebody how hard is Alicia on her gear, and they'll be like, don't, like, you know, like we were trying to save things from her house, you know. So this is the Loreo. What's nice about the little Rayo is you can like put filters on it. Like, you know, it has I think this is like the 8mm thread, whatever the hell it is. And this has a adjustable, this has a slightly adjustable baseline. A baseline basically is the distance of the two lenses, like center vantage point. And the baseline is, excuse me, the baseline is like really measured off of your own two eyes, because in stereoscopic communication, like, you know, like you have two ears, you absolutely know what stereo sound is and mono sound is. You have two eyes, and when you find a, like, you know, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, when you find a stereo that works for you, and like, you know, like you get that, like, that moment where you're realizing that my actual vision is like detracted from, like, you know, my stereo function. I'm seeing the power of it. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. That's what's going on. And this is able to take different baselines, which is not very much. And it's like, okay, so like this is the different baseline amount. Infinity, oh my God, do I need glasses? Holy shit. Infinity, 22 and 1.5 meters. Like, whatever. It really doesn't do anything, but what it is doing is that it is like, okay, let me try to get this so you can see it. So this is like just adjusting a mirror inside where when it reflects, it's making a narrower reflection or a wider one, and that's going to basically adjust the where things fall on your image. So if I'm looking at this and I see this in front of my face, this is where it's falling, right? If I have a smaller baseline, this might appear wider. If I have a wider baseline, this might appear smaller. And that affects the way that you are able to communicate perceivable depth. And that's called like hypo and like macro. And did I just say like hypo and macro? Oh my God. Hyper and hypo, excuse me. Wow. And so there's a whole, you're basically adding an entirely new type of visual element, visual structure you are not only doing line and form and light and composition and color, you're adding an element of depth that if you are unable to communicate it to me as the viewer, that's why it's end user first, top-down method of approach, then you went through all that for nothing. And like, I'll have like perhaps some weird blurry image that I can't see. And, or maybe I can't see it, or maybe you can't see it. And it's so very personal and tailored. And it's something that is constantly being discovered and revisited. And I find it extremely fascinating. And I like to be as versed as possible. So the actual, it doesn't matter if you use a stereo reels, it doesn't matter what camera you use to capture it. In fact, I would highly recommend anybody starting in stereo, don't even bother with anything until you shoot on your phone. If you shoot on your phone a static, and you can take 2 pictures of this. If I took 1 picture here and 1 picture here, it would mimic the same exact thing that you're trying to do with a stereo beam splitter, right? You're taking 2 different vantage points. Take it on your phone. There is an excellent program. It's the gold standard. It's the worldwide standard. It's called Stereo Photo Maker on a computer, but like, since nobody's on a computer, it's called like the letter I, 3D steroid, I think, and it's like actually like spelled like steroids, which is like awesome, but like that's hysterical. And so it's i3D steroid, or like you can definitely find it like for Apple, for like Android, and it has it's very intuitive. You take 2 pictures, and it like sometimes it will like overlay them, and it's a very nice feature. And then you'll have a lot of options on the bottom. You could scroll with them with your finger. I'll show it to you later on this. And you have an option of viewing an anaglyph. You have an option of making a different type of anaglyph that like you're familiar with red and blue. Like there's another type of anaglyph that's like not blue, but like cobalt blue, and like yellow, like that's a different color. So you get to learn about other things like that too. And like if you want to get into it, like there's magenta and green, and like so like these are all complementary colors, by the way. So you can make an anaglyph out, and you can make it out of orange or purple if you want. Doesn't matter, as long as the colors are like complementary. You're going to be safe. But what are you dictated by? You're dictated by the method that you're going to be using to guide the light into your eye. And the most common method, of course, is the classic, these are from Stereo Eye. These are my favorite type. And I love American Paper Optics. American Paper Optics, like, basically made this standardization of color. Yeah, like, right? But that's the story I heard. But this is going to dictate, basically, what you are going to be using for your color output. And that is the most important part of a anaglyph. So however you capture it, you can capture it any way you want. You can draw it with a freaking pencil if you want. It doesn't matter. If you are dead set at like, I'm going to put my Pentax lens on my little 50mm thing, and I'm going to do that. And like, please go ahead. I am all about trying something and learning by that way. There's no better way to learn anything. Let me get back to this lens, by the way. So I digress. I got off on a tangent. So this is the, oh, sorry, I'm like doing that. I have to like plug my phone back. Okay. So if you're asking about like, like, did I use a Pentax lens? No, I did not use the Pentax lens. And there are so many options. Like, there's not just like, this is the only option. There's like, I'm not gonna say that. There's hundreds. And so this guy has so many adapters. What does he look like as a file format? I just took it out and I didn't put it back in the camera. And now I'm gonna like move, oh, here it is, it's right here. And so like, I actually don't have like the slide on me. Like, it's the one thing that I lost in the house, but it's a regular, like a 35mm slide size. So that's split in half. So you have an image that, and by the way, this is like more for masking. So like, it's the full frame split in half. And so this is like what, what's a 35mm, like I'm just so used to like 3D. I'm 36 by 24, right? That sounds about right. So that's what you're going to get out of this. So if you have any idea of what you're going to be presenting image-wise, and like if that like aspect ratio, if this, I could even like kind of dictate it like this. You can just like look through a viewer, like look at that. I can like see like whatever. It's almost like I have a little stereo image right in there. It's like a little view camera, right? So this is something that you have to figure out yourself. What format do I like best? Do I like, and by the way, it's not going to be side by side. you're going to be overlaying your stereo blue, your cyan, and your red side, and you're going to be overlaying them, superimposing them until they become one image. So it's really going to be whatever your frame size is, half, like, you know, like that half frame size, that's going to be what you're dealing with. So if you think that like this is better than, hold on, I have to get a realist slide. If you think that is better than this format, which is a realist format, and this is a much more square format, it's, I'm just going to say like 4 by 5 or something like that. It's not, but like, you know, an aspect ratio wise, maybe it is. So if that looks better to you, then maybe you do want to shoot with the realist. If you think that's going to be like something that you want to do, then go with that. I really, really cannot stress enough how important it is to understand the basics, the universal laws and theory of any language that you're going to be speaking. And like, you know, you have you ever gone to France and go blah 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 blah, like, you know, like, you know, I'm not speaking French, like, obviously, but I can sound kind of like it in my head, like if I'm like, you know, on a British comedy show, I guess, I don't know. But anyway, so try to make sure that the most important thing for you to do is to learn the basics of stereoscopic communication before you attempt it. Or go in knowing that you are going to do this by trial and error, and don't expect, like you know, like, don't like give up. Like, you know, don't expect great results the first time. Expect to learn by having things revealed to you that you didn't realize before, and like by making a lot of errors, and by like, oh, that's what that is, and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, this is why I don't have the Pentax, because the SK1 came with, like, you know, so you put it on your camera, you took your like beep split thing, you got your film to value. They gave you a thing of slides back. You didn't have to get them mounted or like, you know, do not cut, which is like the mantra. And it has this little tiny, like, really cool, like, oh my god, like, this, like, what is this? Like, is this like a transformer? Is this a GoBot? No, it's like the opposite end of this, and you just put it in. You would put your slide in there that you got basically from this camera, and you put it in, and it becomes a viewer. So I think this is just a fucking great design. I would do this, and now I'm not going to say that the Pentax doesn't have better glass in it. Maybe if that's something, like, you know, like, do a little research. Maybe you'll find out something that, like, you know, you find something that you want in that, or like that's you weigh your pros and cons against each other. So this is the same exact, like, I'm sure this is like a 49 or like a 52 or something like that. So there are so many other options. The kind of like most popular originator option from the beam split film camera era is the StereoTac. StereoTac, whatever. This is the exact same format as this. You're going to get a single slide. You're going to get a single slide of 35mm film. That's a like standard format, like 36 by 24. You're going to pop it in the little viewer, and like the same way you would pop it in this little viewer. It's the same size. So these formats were created for side-by-side transparencies. I rarely see prints in this. I don't know if I've seen a print in this. Like, I come to think of it. But these were made for handheld viewers like this. This is a light-catching viewer. You go like that, and you would see the little tiny, like, you know, like slivers of 3D images that you just took on this thing, right? And a transparency, of course, this is doing something. This is like basically it's transmission transparency. When a light is transmitting through something and into your eyes, it's called transmission. And if it's like reflecting off of something, that's reflection. You can do projection with this, and doing projection with this is a way for you to present it to a group. So there are so many different ways, and then you can even scan these and turn it into anaglyph, and that's what you were wanting to do. So let's talk about that. So doing that with an anaglyph, like, it happens that I am a very expert, like, dice up printer. I'm a really good dice up. I'm like fucking up the word dice up, and I'm like, I'm an expert dice up printer, but I am. And like, I've been printing like in every office that I've ever been in, and I've always been the print manager. I'm always the print girl, and I have like been printing for like the most like craziest, like get it right. Oh my god, like, it didn't do yesterday, blah blah blah. And so I really demanding. And I still hit my collar all the time, because like, if I don't, then like I get fired or something like that. So I've been printing for a while. I've been printing only for Epson's. And when I got my dye sub printer, I happened to get it from a guy named Ross Hardy, who's like an industry legend. If anybody knows who Ross Hardy from Inkjet Cards is, I have no reason to believe that he did not invent Epson counterfeit ink. And like, that's the story I tell, because that's the way I was taught by him. And so if I want to print an anaglyph, I'm going to first make sure that I know my color standards. If I want to print an anaglyph and I don't know, there are Pantones actually that are like for transparencies, and you're not going to have that. The easiest way to check it is just basically like throw it on top of an anaglyph, and if you can see the red through the red, your red's off. If you can see the blue through your blue's off. You should not be able to see it. It should just go invisible. If you are unable to make your print hit your color, that's why being a very good printer comes into play when you're making anaglyphs. So your ability to reproduce color accurately, and your ability to understand stereoscopic communication parameters and thresholds that are universal, and laws that are unique to this visual way of presenting information, that is really what your anaglyph is going to be dependent on. That's going to dictate how good it is. It's not going to dictate if it's a good image, of course. It's just going to dictate if it communicates stereoscopic information effectively and without any types of a thing that you don't want it to do. People like shit sometimes. I like crosstalk. If you don't know what the word crosstalk is, if you don't know what the word ghosting means, these are terms that stereographers know, and they are specifically, ghosting specifically is very much applying only to anaglyph. This is something that is just one format, one stereoscopic format, the anaglyph method. And like, it's a passive method. It is filtering light into one eye and light into the other eye. Anything that is red on this image will go into the blue lens. Anything that is blue in this image will go into my red lens, and it'll block the other color, because the other color will turn white. It'll be invisible to you when you're looking through it. So these are concepts that you really need to have a good grasp on. And the way to get a good grasp on them is through active practice. Like, please, if you want to start printing stuff, go on your phone, make an anaglyph on your phone. Go get i3D Steroid. There's like a free version. There's a paid version. I think it's like $2.99. And no matter what phone you have, and you will learn the basics of composition. You will learn the basics of like making a baseline, how adjustments in the shift, and that's why I'm called PARALLAX-SHIFT, because everything is reliant on your PARALLAX-SHIFT. The shift in parallax is what gives us this stereoscopic three-dimensional view of the world that we see as normal sight, and is also responsible for this stereoscopic communication that it's like, oh my god, wow, like, So these are things that I would be absolutely, I can't, like, if you don't know these things, I can't tell, like, what do you want me to do? Like, tell you your printer settings? I'm not going to do that. Like, why don't you just tell me the RGBs for this to start off, and then, like, we'll get started on that, right? So this is something that takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of dedication. Stereographers are not like, there's a lot of pain in the ass legwork that goes into this. And this isn't even like getting into like what the fuck is, who designed this camera type of shit, right? Like, try to teach a realist class. By the way, I really should be teaching a realist class. We'll talk after this. But not you specifically. They'll know. But this is something that you have to put in the work. There's no easy way into this. There's no, and especially if you don't understand what's going into it. So having this question asked means that you understand that you have like these parameters that are like affecting your lens. Like, you have to like put the focal length, I have to get a 50mm lens, and the Pentax like, that's my only option. It's like, no, it's not your only option. You are thinking in the terms of using your gear with some other adapter thing and trying to use your gear. You don't have to use your gear. You can use your phone, and you will learn more using your phone than you will anything else in that app, by the way. Your phone and that app, okay? Everything else after that, you should really spend on trying to hit color. The best way to hit color is to make yourself a color chart. Like, you print out every single RGB on like whatever, how many papers, it takes, and then you have like a color reference card, how your printer will output. So if you have a blue that you need to match, you might look through your like little printed out book that you made yourself from your printer and be able to match it. If you have that ability, if you have that color card, if you have that reference, you're going to be able to make a successful anaglyph every single fucking time. It doesn't matter like how good a printer you are at that point. If you have a output that matches a color in the anaglyph that you have a pair of glasses for that will do the thing that an anaglyph does, which is separate the color, then you are very much on your way. And there are also very specific printing techniques that it seems that like nobody has ever talked about, because which is weird, because there's a lot of people who print, and there is one way of printing for color. Like there's no, like it's a thing, like, you know, one way or the other. It's like, no, there's not. There's like only one, and like I can't believe I've never seen it before. So I'm gonna give an anaglyph class one day online. I'm sorry, I'm like sweating, but like I don't have air conditioning, and it's like hot in here, and I don't have my fan on. But so please, 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 please understand that this is a different form of communication. This is not my image. This is just my print, because I print, and one of the things that I do is I print on, I don't print on paper. I print on anything but paper. So this is on plastic. This is on like what am I going to call this? Twill. This is on fabric. This is on fucking glass. This is a beautiful fucking piece of glass. This is David Hazan. This is my favorite anaglyph. And this is a picture from NASA, from the moon, and you can like get these, like, you know, like this is public, what's it called, like public access or like whatever. So these are all prints that I made on different materials. So like I have to like know how to communicate on every single material and hit color right every single time. I promise you, if you're going to take an anaglyph printing class from anybody, you might want to take it from me, and that's why I really should be teaching. I'm getting a little perturbed about that. I hope I answered your question effectively. This is something, and by the way, there's more options. You specifically asked for flash options. You could get a point and shoot. You mentioned that you like the Nishika. I mean, a Nimslo, which is great, because like I think you said Nishika and then you went Nimslo, and I was like, oh wow, I've like that sounds like everything I heard backwards. But like, there's an aesthetic to that. Like, don't let anybody teach you what you like, you know. And one other thing that I wanted to say is that like you look like really flashy and all your stuff. Like, oh, did you want to see a sequential shooter? I think I was going to say that. That's what I wanted to do with the sequential shooter. You know, like I'm not a good lighter. I don't do lighting. That's not my thing. I'm not an expert at that. I know people who are, and that is not me. But I do know how to get things done. And magnesium tape will light up the fucking sky. Of course, like be safe with it, you know. And like, you know, make sure you have it in a very sealed, airtight container, because if you hit water on it, like, or something like that, or so they say. You wanted to see a sequential shooter. This is my catalog of sequential shooters. This is a Fuji Red Cardia. These are daylight cameras. I'm making flashes for them. That's why I think the magnesium tape is a very good idea for something like this. And this has a sick range of settings. This has fast, medium, and slow. I'm not gonna like remember like what the speed is. It goes right and left, so you can actually fire your lenses off da-da-da-da-da or da-da-da-da-da. Right? Okay. I'm going to switch it. Maybe I'm going to switch it. There we go. And then I'm going to like put it on the other one. Right? That's it. It feels so good in your hand. It's like da, 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 da. So there are other sequential shooters also. This is one I highly recommend. It takes 35 millimeter, and the frames that come out of it are like super, like they look like Super 8 frames. It's basically giving you like a little tiny short animation. And I have to go because I have to put on my fan. I'm going to like be sweating to death. So anybody who has a question, please ask me. I would love to help you. Anybody who wants to learn something, please ask somewhere to teach, like to make me have a class there. Okay. I know places that really should, and they don't. And you know, it's too bad. And I hope that, everybody starts, really just like experimenting. It's something that, like, you know, I learned this on my own. I learned this on my own over the course of 24 years. I got good enough that I go with, like, you know, like the titans of industry and stuff like that. And like this is something that I put so much work and so much time and so much effort into, and I am happy to see other people start getting into it, and it always makes me excited to talk to new people who are into stereo. So please come at me with your questions still, and I hope to see you guys like shooting stereo soon and like being like, how's this, blah blah blah, and I'll be like, awesome. And everybody have a good night, a good Saturday. Is it Saturday? I should go. I have a boat party, I think, to go to. Bye.